Mia J once described young Dolph's love for her as something truly special.
So he was a gentle lover to me. Like, his love for me resembled that of my father's more than any other guy I ever dated.
But just days after his tragic murder, Mia was spotted with Yo Gotti, a man with whom Dolph had a long-standing bitter feud. Now questions are being asked about Mia's possible role in the murder. Let's break it all down, from tears to treachery. She said she loved him. She cried on camera, talked about how he was a gentle lover, how he was just a blessing, and how her kids felt that love too. She went on record saying young Dolph resembled the man she wanted her children to become. But not even a year after his assassination, Mia J, the woman who wore grief like a crown, was caught smiling in the section of a man whose name has never left the shadows of Dolph's murder, Yo Gotti. It wasn't just a photo. It wasn't just a passing clip. This was a pattern. Reports surfaced that Mia had been spotted at multiple CMG-affiliated events, sometimes in VIP, sometimes even being escorted in quietly to avoid fan attention. Allegedly, mutual friends said it was nothing serious, just a conversation. But Memphis knew better. This was personal. Mia Jaya had become the face of mourning in the wake of young Dolph's death. She was on camera, breaking down, shaking, describing how the loss shattered her life.
I miss him. It's no comparison. Like, he was a part of my everyday life for the last, since I graduated college, right? He was such a blessing.
She didn't just lose a partner, she lost the father of her children, the man who bought property for their birthdays, who made time in the middle of a rap career to brush his daughter's hair in the morning, a man who owned over 100 properties, turned down $22 million deals to stay independent, and fed entire communities every Thanksgiving. And yet, Mia switched up, quietly, subtly, but deliberately. She went from honoring his memory to being seen around people whose loyalty would have never passed Dolph's test. That's not just moving on, that's betrayal. And it forces us to ask, was her grief ever real? Because if it was, how do you end up around him, especially knowing how young Dolph died? The assassination wasn't random, it wasn't sloppy. It was personal, calculated, and symbolic. On November 17th, 2021, young Dolph was doing something simple, something human, something innocent. He was buying cookies for his mother. Makeda's Homemade Butter Cookies, a locally owned black business in South Memphis, was a place Dolph supported heavily. He posted about them, he gave them shine. They were the type of place you'd go when you wanted, to be seen by the city, not hidden from it. He pulled up in his custom camouflage Corvette, one of the most recognizable cars in Memphis. No security detail, no tinted windows, because this was home. Just before 1 p.m., two men pulled up in a white Mercedes-Benz armed with automatic weapons. They sprayed Makeda's with bullets, more than 20 rounds. The footage is chilling, not because it's graphic, but because it's so surgical. These weren't just robbers or jealous fans. This was an execution. Dolph died at the scene. There was no chase, no gunfight, no time to react.
But it happens like this. What was he supposed to do? You can't run nowhere. You can't call nobody. It's no time. You know, sometimes you take life for granted and you start thinking about what you want to do in your last breath. Sometimes there ain't no time.
He was murdered in broad daylight in a store he publicly supported while preparing for his annual turkey drive just hours later. According to witnesses and later police confirmations, it was clear the killers had a drop on him. And if they had a drop, someone gave it to them. That's what started the conspiracy spiral. Immediately after his death, fans flooded the internet with theories. Was it Yo Gotti's crew? Was it retaliation? Was it jealousy? People weren't just mourning, they were pointing fingers. And one of the first names mentioned was Yo Gotti's longtime artist, Black Youngstar, the same man arrested after the 2017 shooting in Charlotte where Dolph's SUV was hit with over 100 bullets. Though Black Youngstar's charges were dropped, the streets didn't forget. Neither did Dolph. He dropped an entire album called Bulletproof, with tracks titled 100 Shots, In Charlotte, and I'm So Real. The beef wasn't hidden, it was documented. And now the man gunned down in his hometown is being watched from the clouds as his partner walks into the arms of that camp. It's disgusting, but it gets worse. Because even after his death, not everyone who paid tribute was doing it from love. Fake love followed Dolph's death like flies to a corpse. From mainstream artists suddenly calling him their favorite, to people flooding social media with long tributes, the energy felt off. Key Glock, Dolph's cousin and protege, called it out plainly.
I ain't gonna say it's wrong to show love, but if it ain't genuine, why do it? Like, if it ain't real, like, you know what I'm saying? So everybody know, like I know, like you know. Motherfucker didn't fuck with bro like that.
The same people who ghosted him in business, who left him out of interviews, suddenly had his name in their mouths. Rappers, executives, influencers, they were all riding the sympathy wave, posting old pictures, using his death to boost their engagement, all while staying silent when he was alive and independent. The Joe Budden podcast called it out too.
You don't know what's going on just because people are running to the internet to just say something. shut up and let people mourn, bruh.
It's a pattern. We see it every time a black man is killed, whether it's in hip-hop politics or the streets. The real ones are left to grieve, while opportunists grab the spotlight. And Mia, she was supposed to be the one person we could trust to keep his legacy sacred. She had the kids, she had the memories, she had the platform, but instead she started taking meetings, posting quotes that could be interpreted as passive jabs at Dolph's lifestyle, allegedly being spotted at private CMG events, sitting near Gotti, a man who still hasn't offered a single sincere public condolence. If this was just about moving on, she could have chosen anyone, but she didn't. She went straight to the camp that was once accused of trying to take Dolph's life 5 years before someone finally succeeded. Even Dolph's fans were stunned. In forums and YouTube comments, people wrote things like, "How you cry on camera about this man and then sit with the same folks he had beef with. She betrayed not just Dolph, but Memphis." That's not grief, that's guilt. And perhaps the most heartbreaking part, Dolph's kids now grow up in a world where even their mother might be helping erase who their father really was. This isn't just drama, it's tragedy. Because Dolph wasn't just a rapper, he was one of the few real ones left. A man who made money but stayed home. A man who uplifted people around him. A man who believed black men deserved to grow old. The very name of the campaign Mia started. But to understand how we got to this point of ultimate betrayal, we need to dive into what set everything in motion. A business disagreement that spiraled into one of hip-hop's most tragic wars, the deadly feud, from business to bloodshed. The betrayal Mia Jaya would eventually commit wasn't born in a vacuum. It was the final chapter of a war that started 8 years earlier, when young Dolph made a decision that would ultimately cost him his life. He said no to Yo Gotti. In 2014, young Dolph was a rising star with his own label, Paper Route Empire, when Yo Gotti approached him with an offer to join CMG. But Dolph wasn't interested in being anyone's lieutenant.
You know what I'm saying? Like, really tell you the truth, I don't even like conversating about it, because it's like that ain't never been my mentality. Right. Even when I was in the streets, bro, my mentality was different, and that's how I came up.
He had already invested $3 million of his own money into building his brand, and Gotti's offer didn't match his vision of independence.
They either gotta come higher, or they gotta give me some more negotiations and some more numbers and some more higher percentages in some areas. They gotta, know what I mean? They gotta rig that thing up right.
What made the rejection particularly insulting to Gotti was how Dolph described their first meeting. During their initial conversation, Gotti allegedly disparaged his own artists, Zedzilla and Starlito, to try to persuade Dolph to sign. Dolph was appalled by this lack of loyalty and knew he could never work with someone who would throw their own people under the bus. For 2 years, the tension simmered beneath the surface. Then, in February 2016, Dolph fired the first public shot with his album, King of Memphis, a direct challenge to Gotti's self-proclaimed title. That same month, Dolph tweeted, "Bra went from being my #1 fan and wanting to sign me to being my biggest hater," making it clear that Gotti's resentment over the rejection had turned personal. The situation exploded in March 2016 when Black Youngsta posted an Instagram video threatening to slap young Dolph. But social media threats weren't enough. That same day, Black Youngsta and his crew showed up in Dolph's South Memphis neighborhood, armed and searching for him. Yo Gotti tried to distance himself from the escalation, telling Tim Westwood in an interview that he advised against such beef. But the damage was done. The conflict had moved from boardrooms to the streets.
That's what they doing, what they into, that's what I'm into. Are that what you want to go with? Let's go with it.
The war reached a new level of personal animosity in February 2017 when Dolph released Play With Yo Bit. The track wasn't just a diss, it was character assassination set to music, complete with a screenshot showing missed calls from someone saved in his phone as Ho Gotti. But Dolph's verbal assault came with deadly consequences. Just days after the song's release, his SUV was ambushed in Charlotte, North Carolina, with over 100 bullets fired at his vehicle. Only the bulletproof panels in his $300,000 car saved his life. Black Youngsta was arrested in connection with the shooting, but the charges were later dropped due to insufficient evidence. This would become a pattern: violence followed by arrests, followed by dropped charges, creating a cycle where accountability seemed impossible. However, the Charlotte shooting wasn't the end, it was just the beginning. 7 months later, in September 2017, Dolph was shot in Los Angeles outside the Lowe's Hollywood Hotel, this time severely injured. And the shooter? Corey McClendon, a longtime associate of Yo Gotti with a criminal history dating back to 1994. Again, it wasn't long before McClendon was arrested for attempted murder. Surprisingly, he was released without charges, leaving Dolph to wonder how many times he could cheat death, and more terrifying, the continuous attempts at taking his life. By now, Dolph was moving around Memphis in armored vehicles, understanding that his independence had made him a marked man. Every public appearance was potentially his last, every business meeting could be a setup. The most disturbing aspect of this feud was how it but operated within the legitimate music business. Yo Gotti consistently denied any involvement in the violence, claiming in interviews that there was no issue and that media speculation was creating a narrative that didn't exist. But Dolph saw through the facade. In his mind, Gotti was using his artist to build clout off Dolph's name while simultaneously orchestrating attacks against him.
When you first heard of his artist, how did you hear about his artist? He made his artist say screen Dolph name. He made his artist bring up Dolph name and tie Dolph name to his name, right? That's when everybody got him.
It was the ultimate form of disrespect, profiting from someone's reputation while trying to destroy their life. The feud created a toxic environment in Memphis where choosing sides became a matter of survival. Artists had to decide whether to align with the established CMG power structure or support Dolph's independent movement. There was no neutral ground in this war. For 4 years after the LA shooting, an uneasy tension existed. Dolph continued to release music, building his empire and staying independent, but everyone in Memphis knew the situation was unresolved. This conspiracy would eventually claim Dolph's life in 2021, leading to a series of revelations of crimes and conspiracies in Memphis, Tennessee. It started with the court case on young Dolph's murder. According to trial testimony, Anthony Big Jook Mims, Yo Gotti's older brother and a key figure in CMG operations, had put a $100,000 bounty on Dolph's head. This wasn't a crime of passion, it was a business decision.
How much money was it supposed to be?
100,000 on Dolph.
And had you agreed to do this hit?
Yes, sir.
Had Justin agreed to do this hit?
Yes, sir.
We all gonna do it together?
Yeah, they been on me for it.
Court testimony revealed that Big Jook had allegedly placed bounties on all Paper Route Empire artists, suggesting the goal wasn't just to eliminate Dolph, but to destroy his entire organization. This was corporate warfare taken to its most extreme conclusion. Hernandez Govan allegedly served as the intermediary, connecting Big Jook's alleged orders to the street-level shooters who would carry them out. The prosecution claimed that Justin Johnson and Cornelius Smith were promised $40,000 each, though Smith ultimately received only $800 before his arrest. The most chilling detail came from Smith's testimony about confirming the kill. After shooting Dolph, he and Johnson allegedly FaceTimed Big Jook, using jailhouse sign language to spell out DOLPH to confirm the hit was complete. What started as a business rejection in 2014 had escalated into an alleged criminal conspiracy involving multiple levels of a record label. The independence Dolph fought so hard to maintain ultimately became the reason for his death. He had refused to bow to the established order, and in Memphis, that kind of defiance comes with a price. The feud that claimed young Dolph's life wasn't just about music or money. It was about power, respect, and the dangerous intersection of street politics and corporate America. And in the end, it proved that in some places, saying no to the wrong person can be a death sentence. But in the streets of Memphis, murder is never the end of the story. It's just the beginning of a new chapter written in blood, the blood debt, when murder begets murder. In Memphis, every bullet fired demands an answer, and young Dolph's assassination had left a debt that someone would eventually have to pay. For 2 years and 2 months, that debt accumulated interest in the shadows of the city, growing more dangerous with each passing day. Then on January 13th, 2024, the streets finally collected. Big Jook was gunned down outside Perignon's restaurant during a repast following his relative Eric Bovan's funeral. The symbolism was deliberate and brutal. A man allegedly responsible for ordering a hit was killed during one of the most sacred moments in Black culture, a time when families gather to celebrate a life and find comfort in community. His final Instagram post, made just 24 hours before his death, now reads like prophecy. They don't want to face you, they want to snake you. Stay alert, to stay alive, watch your back at all times. Whether he sensed something coming or was simply acknowledging the reality of his environment, Big Jook seemed to understand that his time was running out. The impact of this violence extends far beyond the immediate victims. Terrence "Gangsta" Williams, a veteran of New Orleans street culture, explained how disrespecting the dead creates an inevitable cycle of retaliation. In the hood, certain lines cannot be crossed without consequences.
So they're looking like, man, and all it takes is one little person to go. You already got the little devil whispering. So all it takes is one step or one real dude to be like, man, what's that? Y'all ain't gonna pull up and handle y'all business? And the way they doing now, man, I'm scared I'm Black. And I'm from the street. They is cut, yo, that's why I stay out the way, bro. I travel, I be out the way, man, because these little youngsters ain't playing.
The psychological warfare that preceded Big Jook's death was particularly cruel. According to Williams, Big Jook had allegedly trolled young Dolph's people after the murder, laughing about the killing and even offering to pay their bills. This kind of taunting after a murder is seen as the ultimate disrespect in street culture, testing the manhood of those left behind.
Yeah, that's the only thing that came close to us, but shooting the funeral, we never done that. shooting the funeral up and all that, because it's like we had respect for the people's mothers and sisters and, you know, the family. So whoever they got out, man, he dead.
The violence has created a climate of fear that extends throughout Memphis, forcing even successful artists to question their safety. Industry veteran T.K. Kirkland pointed to examples like Dr. Dre and Ice Cube, who left dangerous situations once they had the resources.
The goal is, let me take Dr. Dre and Ice Cube for a second. They had a lot of problems in Compton, in Los Angeles. A lot of problems.
Yeah.
And when they got paid, they got the F out of there.
And if you remember, I remember early Yo MTV Raps. I think this was even like a Fab Five Freddy Yo MTV Raps. When Ice Cube went solo, he was basically like in the hood.
The financial cost of this war goes beyond funeral expenses. Yo Gotti's restaurant was reportedly shot up after Big Juke's death, showing how violence spreads to legitimate businesses and threatens entire communities. When beef becomes this personal, nowhere is safe. Big Juke's funeral required unprecedented security measures, 25 armed private guards, Memphis Police Department support, and reports of rooftop snipers. This is what Memphis has become, a city where even saying goodbye to the dead requires military-level protection. The emotional toll on families is devastating and generational. Yo Gotti's mother has spoken publicly about blaming herself for her son's path, acknowledging that Big Juke was exposed to drug houses and criminal activity from a young age.
But with him, you know, my dope house got kicked in. He was right with me. That was my only son. I kept him with me everywhere I went. Hold up. But I'm just letting you know, college student. You know, in the dope house with me. With me. Before he got with you, okay, dope house with me. All right.
This is the generational trauma that violence creates. Parents watching their children repeat cycles they themselves started, unable to break free from patterns established decades earlier. The psychological impact on surviving artists is equally profound. Key Glock, young Dolph's cousin and closest collaborator, has struggled publicly with survivor's guilt and the loss of his mentor. In his first interview since Dolph's death, he described feeling emotionally stuck.
All the time, I can't shake it, bro. I can't ignore it. I ain't gonna lie. Yeah, I can't even shake it.
Key Glock's description of learning about Dolph's death reveals the trauma that ripples through families. The way he received that phone call, knowing something was wrong just from the tone of voice before hearing the words, captures the constant state of anxiety that comes with living in this environment.
Like, you know how you can hear when somebody call your name, like the tone of their voice, like you know something wrong, you just don't know what it is.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
The music industry itself has been forced to confront uncomfortable truths about how it profits from and perpetuates this violence. Artists like 21 Savage have been brutally honest about the reality of street justice and its endless nature. When asked about stopping the cycle of violence, his response was fatalistic. Here's what he said.
I don't think that shit ever would stop. It's just my opinion. Like, people been killing forever. That's just life.
But what are they actually killing for?
Nothing. But you can't, there's nothing that you can kill somebody for that validates killing.
His analysis cuts to the heart of the problem. When someone kills your brother, what can realistically stop you from wanting to kill their brother? The logic of revenge creates an endless cycle where every murder demands another murder. As of July 2025, no arrests have been made in Big Juke's murder, suggesting that this cycle of retribution is far from over. The investigation continues, but in the streets, patience for official justice is limited. The broader Memphis community lives with the constant threat of being caught in crossfire they had nothing to do with. Local businesses close early, families change their routes to work, and children learn to recognize the sound of gunshots before they can properly read. This is the collateral damage of a war that began over a business disagreement but has consumed an entire city. And through it all, the children suffer most. Dolph's kids grow up without their father. Big Juke's children learn to live with the knowledge that their father's alleged crimes may have made them targets. And countless other Memphis children normalize violence as just another part of life. The blood debt that claimed Big Juke's life hasn't satisfied anyone's thirst for justice. It's only created new debts that will eventually come due. In Memphis, the streets keep their own books, and the interest on violence compounds daily. This isn't just about rap beef or street credibility anymore. This is about a city held hostage by a cycle of violence that seems to have no end, where success can be a death sentence and loyalty is measured in blood. Until someone finds the courage to break this cycle, Memphis will continue to bury its talented sons, one retaliation at a time. The question isn't whether there will be more violence, it's whether anyone will survive long enough to choose peace. Thanks for watching. If you had a good time, keep the adventure alive by clicking on one of the suggested videos on your screen right now for more amazing content.